Hey guys, welcome back. This is your host Phil from underKG.com, and this is LG Q7. It's somewhat of a mid-ranger from LG. On the front, you have the display. This is one of the taller displays. There's still a little bezel top and bottom, but I don't really care. This is not like a $900 flagship. And on the back is a camera, fingerprint reader, and LED flash. And this is not made out of glass. This is a glossy piece of plastic. I've applied a protective film on it because it is incredibly prone to scratches. So I suggest that you do the same as well. Overall, it's a clean, modern-looking phone. It's especially very compact, unlike a lot of phones out there. And also, it's got IP68 weather protection and mil-spec certification as well. Display-wise, the resolution and pixel density is pretty good. What's not good is the color balance. LG made it really pale. It's got bluish hue to it. In other words, the color temperature is very high, and unfortunately, LG doesn't give you an option to make it your own. So the closest you get is comfort view. I turned on the blue light filter a little bit, and also they applied a little weird sharpen filter on it, so everything displayed on the screen looks a lot sharper than they actually are. LG has been doing this to a few of their phones. I think this is a really weird choice, but there again is no option to turn it off. Performance-wise, it's got Snapdragon 450 octa-core processor or MediaTek MT6750S octa-core processor, depending on the region. And this one is a Snapdragon model, which is not a fast chipset by any means, but it's especially sluggish on the Q7. When I say the phone is slow, there are two different ways of being slow. One is just being overall slow. You tap, the app launches very slowly. And the second way of doing things is that it stutters. It shows you something, it acts like it's doing something, but then it takes its time and displays something a second later. And this is slow in definition of the latter. So we open the app drawer and choose, say, something like clock. See, there's a white screen. And then there are the list of the alarms. So instead of simply taking longer to show you the app, it tries to show you something first and then takes care of the rest later, making you feel that the phone stutters. The same goes with calculator right there. White screen and then the UI elements. Goes the same with the file manager, tapped, half-second stutter, and finally the file manager screen. And going to the sub-menu, tap, lags, and then something shows up. You get the pattern. Also, LG decided to take out the taptic feedback. Of course, taking out the dedicated taptic motor is totally acceptable since it costs, but you can still try to give the vibrating feedback through the vibrating motor, but they took that out. And Samsung is doing the same thing with their latest devices, and I'm not happy with that. And overall, the interface looks somewhat dated, but at least they included the fingerprint reader gesture so you can swipe down on the fingerprint sensor to bring down the notification bar, or tap twice and hold to take a screenshot. Next it comes to the topic of camera, which is f2.2 13 megapixels. Alright, simply put, it's got horrible imaging quality. It's got f2.2 lens, so we don't expect it to be super steady or anything. Of course it doesn't have OIS, that's completely fine, but this thing is super shaky. Not only in the darker environments, but even in indoors like this, with moderate lighting coming through that big chunk of window. It's also got very bad dynamic range. It kills almost all of the dark areas. You can see that the darker areas are almost completely black, and that's why they have the auto option with the HDR, but HDR is also pretty bad. You can see that the white part on the right is almost completely lost. The front-facing camera is also f2.2. It's wide angle, so it's great for growthies if you can maintain it steadily. This one is also very shaky. There's a software-backed portrait mode that blurs the background, but resulting photos are almost always unusable because they always get really shaken. Next up is the audio with the 3.5mm headphone jack on the bottom, and this is reported to grind some of the headphone ports, so you might want to keep that in mind. The output is moderate. It's got volume normalizer and equalizer that works in any of the apps, except that it doesn't have the user mode, so you get this series of presets, but you can't set these on your own. It does have DTS:X 3D surround, so if you want some spatial effects on your audio, you've got it. What you don't get is the speaker output. It's got speaker on the bottom, which is a lot better than the rear position of the speaker on the Q6, the predecessor, but this has one of the worst speaker outputs that I've ever tested. It mumbles, cracks the bass, the treble is terrible. Overall speaker quality is painful. What isn't so painful is the battery life. It's got 3000 milliamps of cell built in. It gives you around 5 hours to 5.5 hours of screen time. And along with that, it's got USB-C port on the bottom and quick charge support as well. So half an hour is going to give you 41%, an hour is going to give you 83%, and 1.5 hours is going to fully charge your phone. All right, so what is the bottom line for the LG Q7? Well, overall, I don't think it's a good phone. Of course, when you have the certain limit with the budget, you have to trade some of the parts off for some of the things that you gain. So this thing has weather protection, mil-spec certification, overall is sturdy, you get the full vision display and a pretty good battery, but the display is pretty weird, photo quality is bad, audio quality is even worse, the speaker audio quality is even worse, performance is sluggish. The trade-offs LG has made for this looks a little questionable to me. That being said, this is not a horrible phone if you get it at a cheaper price. If you're living in somewhere like America where they sell this for like $99.99 or like $149.99, then this would be a great option. It's a pretty good phone for that price range. But if you're living in somewhere with the higher prices, like in the Eurozone where they sell this for 269 euros, then I would advise you to look at something else. In conclusion, it's not necessarily a horrible phone, but it could be a pretty bad one depending on the price you pay for. So that was the LG Q7. If you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments. You can always meet us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Google+. We'll see you guys later. Ciao.